Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning and welcome to Storytime. Thank you so much for being here on this lovely Wednesday morning out here in Oakland, and I hope that it is lovely where you are too. Yes, indeed, Storytime coming to you 7 a.m. Pacific time and of course 11 a.m. Pacific time as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Storytime, and I hope that you're ready for today's wonderful story. Bringing back a good one coming to you from Sherri Duskey Rinker. Yes, and if that name sounds familiar, you will remember that Sherri Duskey Rinker has brought us the amazing stories construction site series. Thank you so much for being here and welcome. I hope you're ready for this one. Get comfortable, get cozy, settle yourself up in that beautiful space and listen in to Storytime today. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have the book at home, why not read along with us? Thank you for being here and welcome to Storytime. This one, it's so quiet, this one, and not so quiet, and not quite going to bed book. Coming to you from Sherri Duskey Rinker, and of course illustrations by FUCILE, and we're reading this one with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A good one indeed. It is a raucous one, even if it says it's so quiet. Join in the fun. Play along with the sounds as well. Have fun with it. Thank you so much for joining in today. I'm excited to share this one and, of course, bringing it back to Storytime, to the Storytime couch after a while. But it's back, it's here, and we're going to enjoy it today. Thank you for being here. Please remind me where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. And of course, so that we can say hi to them. Glad you're here with us. Glad you took the time to be here and enjoy Storytime. Thank you so much. I hope that you've enjoyed the stories that we've had this week. Amazing one so far. Of course, as we say, this week has a lot of things coming together. And yesterday we had Eid on Sunday and Monday, and then we had May Day on Sunday, and then also we have Cinco de Mayo coming up. And then just a whole bunch of things coming together. We're still celebrating spring. It's getting warmer and warmer out here in Oakland. I hope it is also where you are. Not too hot though. Thank you so much for joining in, and just catching you up on what the week has been like. And of course today we know, unofficially though, May the 4th be with you. May 4th it is. Welcome to Storytime, and a big happy birthday to my brother Gilbert Otieno. Wishing you a happy birthday, brother. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime, and of course for always supporting Storytime. Thank you for being here, and welcome indeed. For all you Star Wars fans, I know today is a special day. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Yes, we do have a wonderful story, and of course too, it's amazing. We've still had money coming in for a reason. Thank you to everybody that shared, everybody that is supporting and keeps supporting. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. A lot of good done. and a lot of good will be done too with that money. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for donating. But of course, I hope that you are well. I hope that you and your loved ones are doing well and just having a wonderful day. And also, just hope you can join us here for story time and enjoy these wonderful stories that we share together every morning. Thank you for being here, or evening, depending on where you are in the world, right? Thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure to be here with you. Appreciate it. And we do have a wonderful story to go together today. It's so quiet and not quite going to bed book. This one coming to you from Sherri Duskey Rinker and of course Tony FUCILE, and we're reading this one with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Let us see who is with us today, ready for some quiet time or not so quiet time today on Story Time. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. How are you doing today? Oh, Amanda West, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, Sarah and Nathan out in gray and chilly Illinois. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy this wonderful story. Indeed, I'm glad you're here. Always glad you're here with us, giving you and sending you hugs. Thank you for being here on Storytime with us. Good morning to you one more time, Sarah and Nathan. And of course, not forgetting Indy. We send love to you as well. Thank you. And Sparky, am I getting that name correctly? Sparky, I think. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime. Good morning to you, Amanda Waltman. How are you doing today? And to say hello and good morning to all our Storytime friends. Oh, thank you so much. Baby B and yourself are cuddled up on the couch in cloudy Seattle morning, ready for today's book. Well, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. And I'm glad that you have that cozy corner to join in and enjoy Storytime. Thank you for being here. And of course, we appreciate your positive vibes and you sending the love to everybody out here on Storytime, whether joining us live right now or indeed joining us later. And talking of people joining us later, good morning to you, Marlon. Thank you so much for joining in today. Absolutely appreciate you as well. And Nate, sending you love too. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime out in Seattle. Thank you for being here on your cloudy morning. It is actually, it's going to be sunny out here in Oakland. It is looking very clear. The sun is out, and like I've said, you can also see on my chest here, there's a little bit of sunshine that just catches me at this time of the morning. Thank you so much for joining in. Yes, indeed. May the 4th be with you. Absolutely. Thank you from Padawans, Nathan and Sarah. I love it. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you indeed. I love it. And I had not watched I watched Mandalorian, but I had not seen oh my goodness, Boba Fett. I'm forgetting the full title, but I had not seen it, so I just started. So I have that for spoils right now. So if you haven't seen it, I won't talk about it. But yeah, I hope you get to enjoy it too. Lots and lots to enjoy from the Star Wars. Thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you. Love it. Sparky and Indy are politely ignoring one another, but listening to today's book. Impressive memory. Well, thank you. I try. This is keeping my mind fresh. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in Storytime. We're going to get started with our book in a little bit. Join me on the other side of this short message. And of course, we'll come back and read our book. Thank you for being here. Absolutely appreciate you and everybody else that is joining in, of course, whether later for the recording or here indeed for the live. Join me on the other side of this message.
Hello, I'm Olalu Ogunyemi, officer in the United States Marine Corps and author of Crow from the Shadow. You are tuned in with my brother on Storytime with Mr. Lamada. Enjoy and God bless.
Thank you, Olaolu. Thank you. And as you know, Olaolu Ogunyemi has a new book out, and that is called Billy Dipper's Time to Shine. Check it out on the Storytime platforms and indeed find it as well where you find books. It is a good one. Check it out so you can see it and ask for it at your local library too. Billy Dipper's Time to Shine, the latest book from Olaolu Ogunyemi. All right, here we go. It's so quiet, or is it? This one coming to you from Sherri Duskey Rinker, yes, of the construction site fame, and Tony FUCILE. And we're reading this one with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A big, big thank you to them indeed for allowing us to share so many lovely books here on Storytime. All right, here we go. It's so quiet. And actually, the font used on this one is very similar to The Loud Book and The Quiet Book by Deborah Underwood, if you've seen those two. It's so quiet and Not Quite Going to Bed book by Sherri Duskey Rinker and illustrations by Tony FUCILE, and read with permission and published by Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Down, down, down. The sun drops behind the hill. The farm is falling quiet. Everything is still. Down, down, down. The sun drops behind the hill. The farm is falling quiet. Everything is still. Is it like that at nighttime in your neighborhood? What sounds do you hear? Look at that. Sha, 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 sha. The moths brush against the light. Sha, 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 sha. A click turns the lamp off. Now there is nothing but night. It's so quiet. It's so quiet. Good morning, Marietta and Henry. It's too quiet. Oh, somebody doesn't like the quiet today. It's too quiet. What can we do? In a little bed, in a little house, is a sleepy mama and a very sleepless mouse. I know some of you can relate, right? Hush, says his mama. Settle down now, not a peep. The small sweet sounds of nighttime will whisper you to sleep. Listen. Hush, says mama. Settle down now, not a peep. The small sweet sounds of nighttime will whisper you to sleep. Listen. Do the sweet sounds of night whisper you to sleep? Rock, rock, rock. Bullfrog sings through the thickets. You gonna try out bullfrog sound? Rock, rock, rock. You're probably doing it better than I am, aren't you? Bullfrog sings through the thickets. Who else is there? What other sounds? Can you see bullfrog? Oh, yeah. Chime in, oh, the crickets. Chime in, oh, the crickets. Squeal! Rat-a-tat! blows the old screen door. Squeal! Rat-a-tat! Blows the old screen door again. Tip-tap, 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 tip-tap. Hound dog's tail beats the floor. Whoosh, whoosh, sings the breeze through the trees. Does that happen where you are? Whoosh, whoosh. Blah, 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 blah. That's Granddad's snore. Blah, 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 blah. Even louder than before. Can you snore like Granddad? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Even louder than before. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Drowsy Banao speaks. Correct! The old farmhouse squeaks. Ooh, 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 ooh. Drowsy Banao speaks. Correct! The old farmhouse squeaks. Together if you can. Ow! Ow! Howls Coyote, miles from the house. But the voice carries all the way. Ow! Up goes the window. What was that? Wonders Mouse. What was that indeed? Oh, that ruckus. Oh, those sounds. Oh, that noise. What was it? Croak, croak, croak. Bullfrog sings through the thickets. What else? Oh, chime in all the crickets. Squeal! Rat-a-tat! Blows the old screen door. Tip-tap, 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 tip-tap. Hound dog's tail beats the floor. Whoosh, whoosh, sings the breeze through the trees. Shh, shh. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. That's Granddad's snore. You wanna try it with me? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Even louder than before. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Drowsy Banao speaks. Correct! The old farmhouse squeaks. Oh, and how does Coyote howl? Miles away from the house? Ow! goes the window. Again. What was that? Wonders Mouse. What was that indeed? You ready for the sounds again? Grog, 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 grog. Bullfrog sings through the thickets. Creep, 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 creep. Chime in all the crickets. Squeal, rat-a-tat. Blows the old screen door. Tip-tap, 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 tip-tap. Hound dog's tail beats the floor. Whoosh, whoosh. Sings the breeze through the trees. Whoosh. Blah, 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 blah. That's Granddad's snore. Blah, 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 blah. Even louder than before. Woo! 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 Drowsy barn owl speaks. Crick! The old farmhouse squeaks. And together, ow! Ow! One more time. Ow! How was Coyote miles from the house? Up goes the window a third time. Be quiet, I'm trying to sleep. Bellows Mouse. Does everybody listen? Be quiet, everybody. I am trying to sleep. Shh, 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 shh. The moths brush against the light. Shh, 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 shh. A click turns the lamp off. And now there is nothing but night. Shh. It's so quiet. Very quiet indeed. And that is the end. And I just thought I should share too here that Sherri Duskey Rinker mentions that this is based on West Virginia, her family, and memories of growing up. That is the end of our book for today. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I hope you enjoyed this lovely, lovely book indeed, and I hope you enjoyed making those animal sounds. And please, I wish I could hear you. I wish I could hear all of you and see how well you're doing with them. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate each and every one of you for joining us this morning. And yeah, we had a great book together. It's so quiet. I love it. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you have a lovely, lovely rest of the day indeed. If it's evening time where you are, we wish you a very good night, full of pleasant dreams, and of course one that is maybe not as eventful as this one. We wish you a quiet night, restful night indeed. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. For those of you that can relate to Mouse needing quiet, needing some loud, and needing everything else before bed, well, that's such is life. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Absolutely enjoyed it being here with you. But tomorrow we're back. Yes, God willing, we're back with another exciting story. And this one is the famous Last Stop on Market Street. This one coming to you from Matt De La Pena and Christian Robinson. Yes, this one, bringing this one to you tomorrow as we will be celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you and everybody else that joined in. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being a part of this wonderful community and indeed for making it as beautiful as it is. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to have you here on Storytime. Let us see very quickly again who was with us this morning and got to enjoy that lovely story indeed. Coming to you from Sherri Duskey Rinker and Tony FUCILE. And this one is called It's So Quiet. And this one we're reading with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A big thank you indeed to them for allowing us to share lovely books here on Storytime. Good morning to you one more time. How are you doing? Marietta and Henry, thank you so much for joining us on Storytime today. Marietta, I must say, it was such a pleasure to meet. And yes, I think I have the picture up here. Let's see. It was such a pleasure meeting you. And of course, thank you for making it all the way out here and indeed letting me know that you were in the area. There we are. Thank you so much for coming out. And it was such a pleasure. Thank you, too. It was wonderful to just have a drink together and talk. Thank you so much for joining in. And I'm glad that you had a safe trip back home. Thank you so much for joining in. Good to see you here. And of course, everybody else that is joining in, good morning to you as well. Amanda, you're very welcome. Baby Beer, very welcome. Hope your nights are not as wild as this one's. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Baby Beer, always a hug for you. Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, good morning to you one more time as well. Amanda, West, and of course, Sarah and Nathan. How are you doing today indeed? Oh, you Padawans out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Nathan and Sarah, and of course, Amanda West. May the 4th be with you indeed. Thank you for joining in. To everybody else that was joining us, thank you for being here. It was absolutely fun. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marietta. And Henry, I'm glad that you were here too today. Thank you for joining us for the live. I hope that you have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you so much, Amanda, Baby Beer. It is such a lovely story indeed. Takes me back to think about how my night times were back in Zambia and of course how they are now and comparing the two. Thank you so much for joining in. This has been Storytime. I know in the news we've been following and we've heard about, what's happening with the Supreme Court. I hope that, sense prevails. I hope sensibility prevails. I hope that women's rights are upheld. I hope that, the right decisions are made. It's just, it's unfair. For me, I am pro, I'm pro-abortion, and I have to say that out. I have to speak my mind and say where I stand. And I think that it's very unfair that women and people who are not ready in certain decisions, even when needed, are not allowed to make those decisions. And I think we need to step up. And I'm glad that people have been protesting. I'm glad that people have been out there. And to think of the so many things that are happening. Healthcare is a human right, and people should be allowed to make those decisions, and women in particular. And I wonder if this decision were left, if it were a male-dominated, decision that had to be made by males, if it would be treated the same way. So please make sure that you make your stand known. I know that people have different views on this, but that is where I stand, and that is what I believe in. I believe that everybody has a right to make decisions, especially about your own body and knowing too your own life circumstances and what's best for you. So I hope that people make the right decisions. That's just where I stand. And I hope that you can make your stand as well and let it be known. But yes, that's where we are. That's where I am. And I just feel like it is unfair to people for those decisions to be forced on them. Thank you so much. We are going to challenge. I am going to be, just here we challenge. We don't take the status quo. We challenge, make sure that we speak up and let our voices be heard. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. And I know this is a touchy issue for many, many people, but I will still speak my mind. And that is where I am, because I believe in justice and I believe in what's right. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I hope that these conversations continue to happen in your neighborhoods and they can happen peacefully as well. But I know it can get pretty touchy, so let's weigh the situations as we're going. And I hope that you have a lovely, lovely day indeed, wherever you are. And yes, life is complicated, but some things are clear. Some things are clear. At least I feel that way. And so I hope that, sensible decisions prevail. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. This has been Storytime. And of course, we don't ignore what's happening in the world. We know there's a lot of things happening, but we're here and we will try and sometimes, get lost in our stories. But every now and then, issues are way too big to ignore, way too big to stay silent. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime. Please join me tomorrow for the bus ride as we go all the way to the last stop on Market Street. That one will be coming to you from Matt De La Pena and, of course, Christian Robinson. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I will see you again tomorrow for more Storytime. Yes, and please feel free to leave comments. Feel free to engage in discussion, conversation about this. I am happy to. And, of course, just always a pleasure to be here in this community and always to speak, like our minds and to share and learn from each other. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. Much love from me. Hugs, hugs, hugs to all of you. And I hope that you have a lovely, lovely day indeed. Thank you for being here. This has been Storytime. Happy Wednesday. It is a minimum day for me at work, so we'll be free a little early than normal, but we'll take it. Thank you so much for joining us. Much love. Bye-bye.
Some stories from far away, others right here in my neighborhood. Story time. Story time. Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing.